Shares of NVIDIA hitting a 3-week low to kick off the month this morning. And this comes amid broader pressure on the chip sector following those NVIDIA earnings. The next big test for semiconductors, we've got Broadcom earnings expected this Thursday after the close. So can Broadcom meet the moment and reignite the hype around the chips that power AI? Joining us to discuss, we've got Stacy Razgon. He is a senior analyst over at Bernstein. Stacy, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. So I know you've got an outperform here on Broadcom. What are you expecting as we head into those earnings on Thursday?
Yeah, you bet. So I like Broadcom. Broadcom's got a few pieces. So they do have the AI story, which I always classify as the second best AI story in the space. They make chips for the hyperscalers like Google and Meta that are actually working on their own chips. Broadcom does that design work for them. They've also got a big play in AI networking. Couple things that I like about it going into the print. So I feel like their AI guidance for the year has been reasonably conservative. They're guiding 11 billion for the full year, which is a run rate in the second half that's actually a little lower than where they were running in Q2. So that feels like a decent setup on the AI front. And while their core business has not been great this year, they're not the only ones. It's cyclically low. I think they've cut it enough. Marvell's earnings last week were a little supportive there. Some of their end customers have reported. I think that setup into next year looks good. In the meantime, the AI piece has been strong enough to bridge any issues with the core business, so their numbers have still been going up rather than down. They've also started, they've also got a pretty sizable software story. They just bought a company called VMware, which does virtualization. I feel like that there is probably upside as you look through expectations for the software business as we go into next year. The numbers are very, I think that are currently in the sell side numbers, very conservative. I think there's good upside on the software. And even just look more broadly, I would say it's got some of the best operating metrics, margins and free cash flow and everything else in the space by a mile. And it's still very inexpensive. It's at a pretty sharp discount to the broader semiconductor space. For a company with, again, it's almost half software, great AI story. It feels like the multiple is easily supported, I think, at current levels. I actually really like Broadcom.
Here we have the current market analysis for Broadcom Incorporated, stock ticker AVGO. Before we begin with today's chart analysis, if you find these educational materials to be helpful in your trading, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts in the comment section below so that other traders will be able to find this information more easily on the platform. So here we have the 4-hour price chart, and today the main event risk will be the Broadcom earnings that are released after the closing bell today. So as we can see currently, we are seeing a wave of downside selling pressure. This has been roughly in place ever since the main NVIDIA wave of declines has been in place. So not totally surprising to see this type of activity here, share price activity. These companies are essentially operating in the same space. Broadcom remains one of the best AI plays in the market. So not totally surprising to see that there would be some contagion effect from the major sell-off that we've been seeing in NVIDIA recently. However, there is some potential here for the tide to turn as long as the company is able to surprise to the top side in its most recent earnings report. In this video, we did hear mention of Marvell, which is another company that operates in this space, and their recent numbers were also positive. So at this point, it is clear that the overall trajectory here for companies that are operating in this space to be outperforming as far as expectations are concerned. Of course, that does not necessarily mean that we will see the same type of activity here with Broadcom, but it does sort of support the expectation here, and it does make it much more likely that we will be seeing positive numbers from this company today. So as things currently stand, we're bouncing a bit off of the 200-period exponential moving average, which is this rising blue line at the bottom of the price chart. However, there is a fair bit of negative momentum here that is still present within the share price itself. So we are looking at a medium-term time frame here. And if we pull out to the indicator reading, we can see in the relative strength index that the dominant trend in share price momentum at the moment is still focused on the downside. We did have some recent movements to the top side, sort of an attempt at generating some positive bullish momentum here. But we can see that this price activity did start to slow just as the NVIDIA share price declines were starting to gather speed and grow in intensity. So as things currently stand here, this more recent uptrend has been broken. And overall, the most recent trend wave here is still showing that negative momentum is influencing this stock. So these are a few factors that need to be kept in mind here. Currently to the downside, what I would be watching for, if we did see a negative number perhaps, would be a potential break below the 145 level. Of course, if we did break below here, this would mean that the psychological region at 150 would also have to be broken. But the reason that I would be focusing on 145 specifically comes from the fact that this is the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement of the price move from 128.50 to 172.42. So that would be the most recent price low, which was generated during the August 5 trading session. And then this is a price move that extended then to the recent price highs coming in during the August 22 trading session. So as things stand here, overall Broadcom has fallen victim to the broader forces that are currently making their way through the market. It's a little bit difficult to sort of avoid these trends completely, given the fact that these companies are so closely related. There are a lot of ETFs also that include both of these names, NVIDIA and Broadcom. So it still remains to be seen whether or not the market will be happy enough with what it hears, even in the event that we do see positive earnings from this company later today. So to the downside, if we did see a break here, this would be the critical price break that I would be looking for, break below 145. However, if we do see strong numbers and a favorable response, initial resistance comes in right around 163. Essentially, this would mark the price high from August 30th. And if we do see a break here, the ultimate suggestion would then be that we would be in store for another retest of these prior highs at 172.42. That's the August 22nd price high. So overall, this is the key line in the sand to the top side. If we were able to see a break here, there is a bit of resistance that is still found at 177.10. This would be the price high from the July 11 trading session. If anybody has been following this sector closely, you'll probably remember that July 11 is really the day that the tide started to turn for the technology space, and we started to see kind of a rampant sell-off within the technology space. Things started to become incredibly uncertain during that period of time. So this is the main reason that I would be focusing on this area as the next potential region to the top side. Essentially, this area does also mark a triple top resistance zone that does sort of stand in the way of the next upside retest of the stock's all-time highs, which came in at 185.16. This would be the price high from the middle of June 2024. So here are some of the price levels that I'm watching. Currently, what we're contending with is a potential break below the exponential moving average at the 200 period EMA. So that would be a bit of a problem heading into earnings if we do see that. But currently, what we're looking at here is a green candle, so we're seeing a bit of topside here. So this does suggest that the market could continue to be supported into the release of these earnings numbers later today. So here's the current market outlook for Broadcom Incorporated, stock ticker AVGO. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market, lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership, and start trading stocks with the pros.